Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Living in Sync podcast. And the week that this episode is dropping is my birthday week. I will be turning 35 this week. And there are a few special ways that I've traditionally welcomed in my birthday I wanted to share with you. And then also a few things that I am doing now with wisdom, with age, doing in the week of my birthday. And the first thing is, if you want to gift me or say happy birthday in any way, shape, or form, I would love so much for you to leave a review of this podcast and share with me your favorite topics. I love hearing what your favorite topics are, or if you have a certain question, and making episodes based on what it is you want to know, what it is you want to hear, and a review rating of the show helps out so much. And then your gift to me is doing something for you, whether that's scheduling a little bit of self-care time, buying yourself a new book, putting yourself or getting a new piece for your wardrobe, or joining Jamie Baker's Style Society, whatever it is, I want you to do something for you this week, something special, because I don't know, like I've even had a couple friends, family members ask, like, what is it that I want? And I'm like, I genuinely want you to do something for yourself, because every woman I know has a lot on her plate, has a lot on her mind, has a lot on her to-do list, has a lot of things that she wants to do for herself. And whether it's time, energy, resources, capacity, just doesn't. I want you to do that one thing this week for yourself. So I've talked about this before on the show, but the practice that I've done traditionally year over year since I was in my early 20s, I think it sparked when I was 23, turning 24. For whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to write down 23 things that I loved about the year of me being 23, and 24 things I'm looking forward to in the upcoming year. And I've done this list over and over and over. This year, I will be writing down 34 things that I loved about this year, 35 things that I'm looking forward to. And I don't hardly ever revisit these lists. Like sometimes around this time of year, I'll go back and reflect on the ones, like I don't know where all of them are. Some are in certain notebooks, some are in a certain spot where I keep memorable pieces of paper or things like that in like a little memory box. But I don't really go back to this list. This list is just meant to be a practice of acknowledgement, of gratitude, of good energy and momentum coming into my birthday week. And actually, a long time ago, one of my mentors had told me that so many people treat the new year like, oh, new me, new goals, recenter myself, look at my priorities. Just really, instead of putting that pressure on around the new year, do that around your birthday. Because there's just this newness of energy when starting a new year. And maybe some of you are like, Joel, this is dumb. Like, we're adults. It's not that I'm making this whole big deal about my birthday week, because I'm still going to have to mom. There's still realities in our week that don't make it ideal or the most perfect or picturesque or like a rom-com or something, right? But I am setting these standards and setting these intentional moments of what I want to do in this week. So I write down the 34 things that I have loved being 34. I often address my camera roll on my phone, my calendar, try to just like go internally and maybe think about the books that I've read, or go through my notebook that I've been writing in all year long to kind of help me, because thinking of 34 things is a lot. But actually, I sat down and started this list already this morning, and I already am halfway done. It's usually those last 10 things where I'm I'm sitting there thinking for quite a while. And then 35 things I'm looking forward to. And, with life and how life is, we think that there needs to be these big magical moments all the time of like buying a house or getting a this or doing that. These just like big moments, these big trips, these big plans, these big goals, these big accomplishments. But when you're thinking about writing down that many things, if you're 30 something like I am, you really have to get microscopic to the simple things in life, the little special day-to-day romances of life that just feel so amazing. And I'll just give example of like, 30 in my 34 things of this year, my husband and I did take a trip to Nashville. We did buy me a new car. We did, one-on-one date nights with the kids, but I'm also setting the intention or setting the savory things in life that are the day-to-day of, we have a new kind of evening rhythm where we put the kids to bed, and after we put the kids to bed, Sean and I come into our room and kind of just sit and chill before doing anything else in that evening. So I'm really even writing down routines, and my favorite hair mask is going on there this year because it's not all things that are big, huge, and magnificent, but even accounting those little tiny, minute, day-to-day things, but they are really sweet, and they are only for this season, because when we're in a different season of life where we're not putting our kids to bed, I'm going to want to look back and think about and remember those years like, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember those years where you tackled one, I tackled the other. We always did bath books and laid with them for a little bit. And then we came into our room and kind of had our touch point of the day of like, how was your day? How was da 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 da. So I hope that was like a good example of what goes along on the list, because it's not all of these big, fancy, flashy moments. There are some really big and incredible moments, but there's also some that are just so minuscule to the it's rigmarole. It's things that we do in the day in and day out, but in another season of life, that's not going to be the routine. And I want to kind of have these little lists as memories. So that is a tradition that I've had over and over again. Now, this next one, obviously, I don't do every year, and each year is going to be different. But this year, I did reach out to all of my clients in the beginning of July and gave reminders throughout July that I'm taking time off during this week. So I've asked for things to be prepared ahead of time. I've really just reiterated, like, I want to have peace and space for this week. And I do have a couple things planned out, but the goal of it is to just kind of shake up the routine, to do something different with the day-to-day time that I have and see what comes up. I think we're always expecting God to give us this big download, but even if he doesn't, this week is going to be really, really good. And I've scheduled some things to do. Like I said at the top of the episode, I want you to think about the thing that you're like, oh, I would really like to do this, and maybe you haven't, whether that's buy yourself a new planner or book or go visit. Because I know on my birthday week, I'm actually going to be taking the time to go drive to my grandma's and just sit with her, not bring the kids with, because she lives in a little apartment. Whenever I bring my kids over there, they're just nuts. So I'm going to schedule a time to just sit and visit with my grandma. I'm going to go get a facial. I'm going to have a day where I go shopping and peruse the bookstore. This has already happened, but even like I kind of gifted myself a ticket to a networking event. So I will have gone to a networking event, and if anything comes through or comes up to work on that is like a project. I've even got a project that's been lingering on my mind. Maybe with the extra space, I'll be tackling that. I don't know. It's also the last week of the month that my kids have their day camp situation. So after my birthday week, the remainder of the summer and until school starts, I'll be doing the full work from home mom with kids at home mom rigmarole and routine. And I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to show up in my work times when I'm going to get those in. Do I want to get up early? Do I want to see if there's other people or resources that could be helpful for me in dedicating time? Or do I just really want to, give myself more space at the end of August? We'll see. But I'm going to be doing a little bit of pampering. I'm going to be taking care of a handful of those things where it's like, oh, I should go visit my grandma. I should just go check out the bookstore. There's actually just something innate in me that wants to go to the bookstore and look at magazines. For some reason, I'm like, I used to be such a magazine person. And it's actually the magazine called Becoming Iconic. I heard her on a podcast once. And I was like, I love getting magazines. I love them so much. They're visual, but they're also usually packed with like just powerful, potent information. So I'm going to go walk around the bookstore and see, like, are magazines still in publication? Yeah, probably, but I just haven't. And then there are certain questions that I am reflecting on all month, and whether it's your birthday or not, or if your birthday's near or far, I just hope that this episode is helpful for you if you just need to reset and recenter yourself. But I've been thinking of the questions of like, what did this year teach me? How have I changed? What has worked well? What are my values? And then one of the big things that I am doing this year is journaling on if this year, from August 2024 to August 2025, was the best year ever, what would happen and what would that look like? And wouldn't it be fun if these things all happened? And not being realistic in any way, shape, or form, but putting those things, I mean, you guys know, if you know me, I'm definitely going to be journaling on wouldn't it be fun if we landed and got a cabin on a lake in this area and it looked like this and we had friends and family over, and if we did like, I'm going to have a riff on all aspects and areas of my life. But that's one of those things where it was such a powerful and potent dream on my heart. And in the last, I'd say 5 years, I've felt my own ambition decrease and decrease and decrease. And with that, I've felt like, well, if I don't have the ambition for like this big drive, this big career orientated ambition, then that must mean I need to let go of the dream of a lake cabin, because having 2 properties, expensive. You know what I mean? So I'm just literally with that question of, if this was the best year ever, what would happen and what would it look like? I'm being unrealistic. I'm being unapologetic. I am daydreaming. I am going to be visionary, and I'm going to be asking myself this question. I'm going to put a pen to paper, but I'm also going to just sit on, hopefully it's nice outside, who knows with this weather, but sit out on my back patio and just think about it. When I'm driving, think about it. When I'm just on my walks, thinking about this. How can this be the best year ever? And that is what I'm going to be doing for my birthday. So if it's not your birthday in the month of August, A-okay, but use this as a guide to center and reset yourself by doing something that's a little bit of reflective, and then doing something for yourself. How can you create peace and space for yourself and prepare for that ahead of time? Give yourself a little pampering. Do that thing that you're like, oh, I really know I need to. Maybe it's call a family member, reconnect with a friend, go to a networking event. I don't know what that is for you, but there's something within you right now that's like, I know I should fill in the blank, whatever that is. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, share it with a friend. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have an amazing week. You may not see me on social media. I haven't decided if I'm going to have it, if I'm going to delete the apps and just have like a lot of full space, or if I'm going to share the special week of what I'm going to be doing since I'm going to be out of routine. Because trust and believe with podcast production, guys, I wake up, I work out, I do the mom life stuff, I get ready for work, I'm sitting at my desk, and then when I'm done with my work, I'm back into the mom life stuff. So it's such a mind block for me that, oh, I don't need to post on social media about my day because literally boring, like nothing's that exciting, and that's the typical day-to-day routine. But there's going to be some fun things that I'm going to be doing the week of my birthday. And it's going to be in the midst of obviously being a mom and an entrepreneur, which if you are not an entrepreneur, but also this happens a lot in corporate America too, where I have allocated for this time off. I have communicated for this time off, but as it happens in the career space, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you are, working for somebody else, there might be something that comes up, obviously. So while I say that, I'm very real. I want to be very realistic and transparent of like, just because I'm an entrepreneur and say like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take this time off, doesn't mean that some things couldn't potentially come up, or in the preparation of preparing for this time off, because when you're an entrepreneur, and once again, I'm sure this is the same for corporate America, you are front loading a lot of work load before you take the time off. And then when you get back, there's an abundance of things for you to catch up on. So that is very real for me in the entrepreneur space as well, but I'm looking forward to it. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you loved what you heard or you want to share your favorite episode topics, please leave a rating and review. This helps the podcast growth and gives people an idea of what the podcast is all about. Something new and exciting that I wanted to share with you before we go is that we now have a Patreon page. This has replaced the Feminine Edge collective community in a cohesive place that is easier for me to manage and cheaper for you. If you are interested in our monthly classes, exclusive day in the life vlogs, Bible studies, community Q&A, and more, go to patreon.com/livingin-sync and join for just $5 a month. Check out the show notes for any links or details of things referenced in today's episode, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next one.